House will come to order. House will come to order, and members, please take your seats. The hour for convening having arrived, all members will please take their seats. Mr. Clerk, will you please ring the bell? We're going to have the morning roll call. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? Not quite. Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. Doorkeepers, will you please close the doors and keep them closed? As is our custom, we will begin our day with scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the gentleman from the 175th House District, Representative John LaHood. Representative LaHood.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. It is my great honor today to introduce my friend, Reverend Mike Davis, who has served as senior pastor at Hayhira United Methodist Church in Hayhira, Georgia, since June of 2015. Mike previously served as pastor at Pinion United Methodist Church in Sylvester and at churches in Cordele and in Dawson, Georgia. Mike is a third career pastor, having previously worked in law enforcement, serving as the Chief Deputy Sheriff of Sumter County for 11 years, and in the insurance profession, working with the Georgia Farm Bureau Insurance Companies for 18 years. Reverend Davis is a native of Sumter County, having grown up in the Leslie and DeSoto areas. He has 5 children, 12 grandchildren, and Mike was recently engaged to my predecessor, former representative for District 175, Amy Carter, who we have right here. Sitting next to my beautiful wife, Crystal. And so not only is Mike special to me in that way, but Mike is also officiating the marriage ceremony of our daughter, Crystal and I's daughter, this May. So we're very glad to have him here. Mike's a graduate of LaGrange College with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Organizational Leadership and the Candler School of Theology at Emory University with a Master's of Divinity degree. Mike currently serves as chaplain for the FBI and chaplain for the Lowndes County Sheriff's Office. He's an honorary commander with the 93rd Air Ground Operation Wing at Moody Air Force Base He's a member of the South Georgia Leads Class of 2023, who's here today. Serves on the board of directors for the Georgia Sheriff's Boys Ranch, the South Georgia Conference of the United Methodist Church Finance and Administration Committee, and the Board of Ordained Ministry. In his free time, he enjoys reading, running, working out, traveling, and completing honey-do lists. Welcome, Mike Davis.
Thank you, Speaker. Good afternoon, Speaker Burns, members of the House, staff, and guests. Greetings from Hayhira in Lowndes County, Georgia. It's a great honor to stand before you today and share a few thoughts. I appreciate the sacrifices that each of you make to our state. And since my courtship with Amy, I've been slam dunked into state politics, and I've learned more about them than I've ever wanted to know. But it makes me appreciate you all that much more. So thank you again for your service to our state. Several years back, I read a story in a Reader's Digest about a young man who was visiting a zoo in the Gaza Strip. The man was working on his doctorate in zoology, so he had a particular interest in animals. As he was touring the zoo, he stopped at the zebra exhibit, and he immediately noticed there were two zebras there, and he noticed that they looked different than any other zebras he had ever seen. And after watching them for just a few minutes, he realized that they looked just like donkeys, but with stripes. So he went and found one of the zookeepers, and he asked him about those zebras. And he told the zookeeper, he said, "These zebras that you have, they look like donkeys with stripes." And the zookeeper replied, "Yes, that's because they are donkeys with stripes." He said, "We didn't have any zebras, and with the current embargo against our territory, we couldn't get any. So when people come to the zoo, they expect to see zebras. So we did what we had to do. We painted the stripes on the donkeys. Now we have zebras." Do you ever get the feeling that some of the zebras that you're looking at aren't really zebras? Maybe they're painted up donkeys. Except maybe we're not talking about donkeys. Maybe we're talking about people. Maybe our colleagues. Maybe our opponents. Or how about this? Perhaps that person you're looking at in the mirror every morning. Is it a zebra? Or is it a donkey? Are they who they say they are? Or maybe the question should be, is it who I say I am? Or maybe the question should be, is that person I see in the mirror really who I want to be? Are you the person that your spouse or your children or your grandchildren think you are? Years ago, I had a dear friend and church member in Sylvester named Mr. Fred Carter. Representative Bill Yurda is here. He was a mutual friend of both of ours, dear friend of ours. Mr. Fred grew up in Jasper, Florida. Fred was an old turpentine man turned businessman and entrepreneur. He was full of stories, and he left me with plenty of preaching material. And he used to tell me about the old clerk of court in Jasper, Florida, Miss Essie. Miss Essie was an old maid. She lived alone right down the street from the courthouse. Miss Essie had an alcoholic brother who would come and stay with her when he was on a bender. And on this particular day, her brother was trying to get sobered up, was staying with her for a few days, and Miss Essie went home from the courthouse to prepare lunch and have lunch with her brother. And after getting everything on the table, the two of them sat down, And she took her brother's hand and began to say the blessing over the meal. Dear God, she said, we thank you for this food that you've so graciously provided. Bless it to nourish our bodies. And God, please help my old drunk brother. And about that time, her brother cut her off. He said, psst, 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 Essie, don't tell him I'm drunk. You know, there's an old saying that you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all of the time. And sadly, we rarely fool most of the folks that we think we're fooling. More importantly, we can never fool God. And if we think we can, we are the fool. Friends, you have a tough job. As my old friend from Dawson, Miss Marie McClendon, used to say, some days you're the bug, and some days you're the windshield. No matter what the issue might be, you're expected to take a stand. And everybody's watching. Everybody wants to know what you think and what you're going to do. And then there's a good possibility that whatever it is you think and whatever it is you have said, it will be twisted 42 times before it gets back to you. And unfortunately, you will be held responsible for each and every version. You have supporters with expectations and critics hoping you will fail. And you must take a stand on little issues that affect big people and on big issues that affect little people. You have the pressures of your party affiliation. Whether you agree with it or not, you have expectations. And you have the temptations of others that are whispering in your ear with their special interest. Legendary UCLA basketball coach John Wooden said, the true test of a man's character is what he does when no one is watching. In your case, that may be true, but there's an additional truth. Everybody is watching everything you do all the time. And in the midst of it all, how do you remain true to your constitutional oath and remain true to yourself at the same time? In the first 5 verses of Psalm 139, David writes, you have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit, you know when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, Lord, you know it completely. You hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. David was a national hero of Israel, and yet he was as big a scoundrel to ever hit the pages of the Bible. He was an adulterer, a murderer, a liar, and a cheat. But then he was also the only man in the Bible to be called a man after God's own heart. David was a perfect example of a walking, talking, living paradox, and he knew it. He knew who he was. And those reflections that you read in the book of Psalms are from a man who knows who he is. He knew that he was hopeless without God. I wonder what David saw when he looked in the mirror. Ladies and gentlemen of the chamber, I'll leave you with this. Georgia could not be the great state she is without the work you do. And the fact that you are here today speaks to your character, and it's evidence of the trust that your respective district has in you. I pray that you will stay strong in the midst of all the contentiousness of the day, especially in your world, in the political world. Stay true to yourself. Be that man or woman God made you to be. Would you stand and pray with me? Dear God, I thank you for this day and the blessings it brings. I thank you, God, for these who come to serve our state, giving of themselves tirelessly and sacrificially. I pray that you will guard their hearts and minds, fill them with your Holy Spirit, and lead them in your ways of kindness, compassion, and goodness. As they govern, pour out your favor upon them. Give them the peace of Christ, that which surpasses all understanding. Watch over this house, our governor, and all who represent and serve our great state of Georgia. And we will always give you the praise and the glory. In the name of Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen. If you'll join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Doorkeepers will unlock the doors. Members, you may join the chaplain in the South Ante room for a photo. Members, before former Chair Lady Amy Carter leaves, former member, would we all welcome former Chair in this House, Representative Amy Carter. Chair recognizes Chairman Tarvin, Chair of the Committee on Information and Audits. Chairman Tarvin.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Information and Audits has read the journal from the previous legislative day and found it to be correct. And on another note, today is halfway home. This is day 20. And I want you all to be in attendance.
The gentleman will suspend just for a minute. I can't hear.
Mr. Chairman, on another note, as we know, this is day 20. We're halfway there in this session. And I encourage everyone to be in attendance, be alert, and don't count the days, make the days count.
Wow, y'all needed to hear that. We all needed to hear that. That was a pearl. Not a very big one, but it was a pearl. Chairman Tarvin, the Chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to dispense with the reading of the journal? The chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. Mr. Clerk, will you please read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day?
Representative Administration, the 104th moves the following be established as the order of business in her first part of period unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions, first reading and reference of House bills and resolutions, second reading of bills and resolutions, reports of standing committees, third reading and passage of uncontested local bills and resolutions, first reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions, morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? Chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. I got to be somewhere about 6. I don't know about y'all. I'm in no hurry. And I'm not going home tonight. First reading of bills and resolutions, the clerk will read.
House Bill 416 by Representative Cooper, the 45th, Stevens, the 164th, Reese, the 140th, Hawkins, the 27th, Silcox, the 53rd, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Article 3, Chapter 4, Title 26 of the official code of Georgia, annotated relating to practice of pharmacy.
Health.
House Bill 417 by Representative Knight, 134th, Cooper, the 45th, Barton of the 5th, Houston of the 170th, Hatchett of the 155th, and others. The bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 24, Title 33 of the official code of Georgia, annotated relating to insurance generally.
Insurance.
House Bill 418 by Representative Smith, the 18th, Lever to the 123rd, Reeves to the 99th. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 913, 161 of the official code of Georgia, annotated relating to where and when sales under executions are held.
Judiciary.
House Bill 419 by Representative Draper, the 90th, Bernal, the 77th, Oliver, the 82nd, and Nullowitz, the 42nd, Schofield, the 63rd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 2, Title 21 of the official code of Georgia, annotated relating to primaries and elections generally.
Governmental affairs.
House Bill 420 by Representative Roberts, the 52nd, Fryer, the 122nd, Beverly, the 143rd, and Mitchell, the 88th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 7 of Title 44 of the official code of Georgia, annotated relating to landlord and tenant.
Judiciary.
House Bill 421 by Representative Roberts, the 52nd, Holland, the 54th, Tran of the 80th, Panich of the 51st. A bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 27 of the official code of Georgia, annotated relating to general provisions relative to game and fish.
Game, fish, and parks.
House Bill 422 by Representative Burchett of the 176th and Corbett of the 174th. Bill be titled an act to amend an act to create a board of elections and registration for Ware County.
Intragovernmental coordination.
House Bill 423 by Representative Vance of the 133rd, Collins of the 71st, Hitchens of the 161st, Lumsden of the 12th, Powell of the 33rd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 4 of Chapter 11 of Title 16, official code of Georgia, annotated relating to general provisions relative to dangerous instrumentalities and practices.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 424 by Representative Vance, the 133rd, Crow of the 118th, Collins the 71st, Hitchens of the 161st, Lumsden of the 12th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 16 and Title 15 of the official code of Georgia, annotated relating to general provisions regarding sheriffs.
Public safety and homeland security.
House Bill 425 by Representative Gullett of the 19th, Saints of the 180th, Mathis, 149th, Scoggins the 14th, Lumsden of the 12th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 42-119 of the official code of Georgia Annotated relating to petition for release from registration requirements.
Judiciary Non-Civil.
House Bill 426 by Representative Blackman of the 146th, Taylor, 173rd, Jones of the 47th, Jaspers of the 11th, Ballinger the 23rd. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 21 of the official code of Georgia Annotated relating to elections and primaries generally.
Governmental
House
Affairs.
Bill 427 by Representative Kennard of the 101st, Jones of the 25th, Holcomb of the 81st, Carpenter of the 4th, Clark of the 108th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 3, Title 20 of the official code of Georgia Annotated relating post-secondary education generally.
Higher Education.
House Bill 428 by Representative Hughley of the 141st, Buckner of the 137th, Alexander of the 66th, Frazier of the 126th, Bernal of the 77th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 7, Chapter 4, Title 49 of the official code of Georgia Annotated relating to medical assistance generally.
Public and Community Health.
House Bill 429 by Representative Smith of the 18th, Green of the 154th, Jenkins of the 136th, Evans of the 57th, Mathis of the 149th. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 2, Chapter 8 of Title 12 of the official code of Georgia Annotated relating to the Georgia Comprehensive Solid Waste Management Act.
Natural Resources and Environment.
House Bill 430 by Representative Smith of the 18th, Evans the 57th, Green of the 154th, and Jenkins the 136th. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 2, Chapter 8 of Title 12 of the official code of Georgia Annotated relating to solid waste management generally.
Natural Resources and Environment.
House Bill 431 by Representative Jenner of the 85th, Carter of the 93rd, Holcomb of the 81st, Moore of the 91st, Taylor of the 92nd, and others. The bill being entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 3 of Chapter 8 of Title 48 of the official code of Georgia Annotated relating to county special purpose local option sales tax.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 432 by Representative Schofield of the 63rd, Clark of the 108th, Beverly of the 143rd, Carter of the 93rd, Cannon of the 58th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 83201 of the official code of Georgia Annotated, Article 1 of Chapter 1 of Title 20 of the official code of Georgia Annotated, and Chapter 1 of Title 34 of the official code of Georgia Annotated.
Judiciary.
House Bill 433 by Representative Schofield of the 63rd, Beverly 143rd, Scott of the 76th, Davis of the 87th, and Bennett of the 94th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 28 of the official code of Georgia Annotated relating to general provisions for the General Assembly.
Budget and Fiscal Affairs Oversight.
House Bill 434 by Representative Hawkins, the 27th, Newton, the 127th, Dempsey, the 13th, Deloach, the 167th, Bennett, the 94th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 34, Title 43 of the official code of Georgia Annotated relating to the Georgia Composite Medical Board.
Health.
House Bill 435 by Representative Smith of the 18th, Evans the 57th, Green to the 154th, and Jenkins the 136th. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 2, Chapter 8 of Title 12 of the official code of Georgia Annotated relating to solid waste management generally.
Natural Resources and Environment.
House Bill 437 by Representative Hitchens, the 161st, Lumsden of the 12th, Vance the 133rd, McCollum of the 30th, Crow of the 118th. Bill be entitled an act to amend Chapter 9 of Title 45 of the official code of Georgia Annotated relating to insuring and indemnification of public officers and employees.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
House Bill 438 by Representative Anderson of the 10th, Williamson of the 112th, Parsons the 44th, Frazier of the 126th, Jones of the 25th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 46 of the official code of Georgia Annotated relating to general provisions regarding public utilities.
Energy, Utilities, and Telecommunications.
House Bill 439 by Representative Houston of the 170th, Meeks of the 178th, Dickey the 145th, Perkle of the 169th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 10 and Title 2 of the official code of Georgia Annotated relating to farmers markets.
Agriculture and Consumer Affairs.
House Bill 440 by Representative Stoner of the 40th, Cooper of the 45th, Hawkins the 27th, Irwin of the 32nd, Bentley the 150th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 3 of Article 16 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the official code of Georgia Annotated relating to student health in elementary and secondary education.
Public and Community Health.
House Bill 441 by Representative Dempsey the 13th, Hawkins the 27th, Hatcher the 155th, and Ulowitz the 42nd, Mathis the 149th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 11 of Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to dentists, dental hygienists, and dental assistants.
Health.
House Bill 442 by Representative Buckner to the 137th. The bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 35-334 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to disclosure and dissemination of criminal records to private persons and businesses.
Judiciary.
House Bill 443 by Representative Horner III, Donahue the 31st, Carver the 2nd, Cameron the 1st, New the 64th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 2021 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to display of historically significant documents.
Education.
House Bill 444 by Representative Reeds the 99th, Gunner of the 8th, Silcox the 53rd, Evans the 57th, Stoner the 40th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 9 of Chapter 14 to Title 44 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to Liz Pendens.
Judiciary.
House Resolution 207 by Representative Smith the 18th, a resolution honoring the life of Mayor William Pete Bridges and dedicating a road in his memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 208 by Representative Leverett of the 123rd, a resolution honoring the life of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and dedicating a road in his memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 209 by Representative Carson the 46th, Lumpson the 12th, Collins the 71st, Hitchens the 161st, Carter the 93rd, and others. A resolution creating the House Study Committee on Motor Vehicle Crash Fatality Rates.
Motor vehicles.
House Resolution 210 by Representative Beverly the 143rd, Parker the 107th, Evans the 57th, and Mitchell the 88th, Bennett the 94th, and others. A resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution of the State of Georgia so as to authorize the Georgia General Assembly to provide by general law for sports betting.
Regulated industries.
House Resolution 211 by Representative Smith the 18th, Evans the 57th, Green the 154th, and Jenkins the 136th. A resolution creating a House Study Committee on landfills.
Natural resources and environment.
House Resolution 212 by Representative Moore the 91st, a resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution to provide that the members of the General Assembly elected in 2026 and thereafter shall serve 4-year terms.
Rules.
House Resolution 215 by Representative Jones the 60th, a resolution recognizing Women's Golf Day in the state of Georgia.
Special rules.
House Resolution 216 by Representative Jones the 60th, a resolution recognizing Women's Veterans Day.
Defense and Veteran Affairs.
Senate Bill 6 by Senator Burns the 23rd, a bill being titled an act to amend an act to authorize the governing authority of the city of Sylvania to levy an excise tax.
Intergovernmental coordination.
Senate Bill 47 by Senator Huffstetler the 52nd, Kirkpatrick the 32nd, Eccles the 49th, Oracle the 36th, Beach the 21st, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 12 of Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to offenses against public health and morals.
Public and community health.
Senate Bill 59 by Senator Hatchett of the 50th, Kennedy the 18th, Hodges the 3rd, Goodman of the 8th, Robertson the 29th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 12 of Title 45 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to the governor.
Judiciary.
Senate Bill 68 by Senator Williams the 25th, Albers the 56th, Anderson the 24th, Burns the 23rd, and Duarte the 31st, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 1614.3 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to definitions regarding racketeer influence and corrupt organizations.
Judiciary non-civil.
Senate Bill 73 by Senator Tillery the 19th, Brass the 28th, Hatchett the 50th, Dugan of the 30th, Moore of the 53rd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 2, Chapter 5 of Title 46 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to general provisions relative to telephone service.
Energy, utilities, and telecommunications.
Senate Bill 130 by Senator Payne of the 54th, Moore of the 53rd, Huffstetler of the 52nd. Bill be titled an act to amend an act consolidating, amending, and codifying the various acts incorporating the city of Dalton.
Intergovernmental coordination.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 383 by Representative Reeves of the 99th, Silcox of the 53rd, Gunter of the 8th, Holcomb of the 81st, Evans of the 57th, and others. A bill relating to assault and battery and related offenses against person. House Bill 384 by Representative Henderson of the 113th, a bill relating to individual accident and sickness insurance coverage. House Bill 385 by Representative Thomas of the 21st, Bonner of the 73rd, Jenkins of the 136th, Clark of the 100th, Prince of the 132nd, and others, a bill relating to retirement and pensions. House Bill 386 by Representative Bazemore of the 69th, Beverly of the 143rd, Jackson of the 128th, Frazier of the 126th, Bennett of the 94th, and others, a bill relating to use of speed detection devices and red light cameras. House Bill 387 by Representative Alexander of the 66th, Mitchell of the 88th, Fry of the 122nd, Roberts of the 52nd, McLean of the 109th, and others, a bill relating to purchase, possession, manufacture, distribution, or sales of a controlled substance or marijuana and penalties. House Bill 388 by Representative Alexander of the 66th, Mitchell of the 88th, Fry of the 122nd, Roberts of the 52nd, McLean of the 109th, and others, a bill relating to controlled substance. House Bill 389 by Representative Mumtahan of the 17th, Tarvin of the 2nd, Gullett of the 19th, Thomas of the 21st, Ridley of the 6th, a bill relating to condominiums. House Bill 390 by Representative Schofield of the 63rd, Willis of the 55th, Scott of the 76th, Carter of the 93rd, Davis of the 87th, and others, a bill relating to standards, labeling, and adulteration of drugs and cosmetics. House Bill 391 by Representative Green of the 154th, a bill to amend an act providing a homestead exemption from Early County School District ad valorem taxes. House Bill 392 by Representative Jaspers of the 11th, Bentley of the 150th, Irwin of the 32nd, Gaines of the 120th, Martin of the 49th, a bill relating to commissions and other agencies. House Bill 393 by Representative Carpenter of the 4th, Sharper of the 177th, Seabaugh of the 34th, Bonner of the 73rd, Gilliard of the 162nd, and others, a bill relating to income taxes. House Bill 394 by Representative Carpenter of the 93rd, Mitchell of the 88th, Kendrick of the 95th, Oliver of the 82nd, Drenner of the 85th, and others, a bill relating to elections and primaries. House Bill 395 by Representative Huddleston of the 72nd, a bill to amend an act to provide a homestead exemption from Heard County ad valorem taxes. House Bill 396 by Representative Vance of the 133rd and Jackson of the 128th, a bill relating to creation, membership, compensation, qualifications, accountabilities, and assignment. House Bill 397 by Representative Carpenter of the 4th, Evans of the 57th, Daniel of the 117th, Jones of the 25th, Crow of the 118th, a bill relating to alcoholic beverages, motor vehicles, and traffic. House Bill 398 by Representative Hilton of the 48th, McCollum of the 30th, Gullett of the 19th, Carpenter of the 4th, Mumtahan of the 17th, and others, a bill relating to ticket brokers. House Bill 399 by Representative Schofield of the 63rd, Beverly of the 143rd, Davis of the 87th, Mitchell of the 88th, Scott of the 76th, a bill relating to handicapped persons. House Bill 400 by Representative Smith of the 18th, Estration of the 104th, Gunter of the 8th, Holcomb of the 81st, Leverett of the 123rd, and others, a bill relating to judges of the Supreme Court. House Bill 401 by Representative McLean of the 109th, Gladney of the 130th, McQuay of the 102nd, Smith of the 41st, Taylor of the 92nd, a bill relating to mopeds. House Bill 402 by Representative Hilton of the 48th, Dubnick of the 29th, Irwin of the 32nd, Jones of the 25th, Douglas of the 78th, and others, a bill relating to health of elementary and secondary school students. House Bill 403 by Representative Jaspers of the 11th, Crow of the 118th, Newton of the 127th, Powell of the 33rd, Wiedauer of the 121st, and others, a bill relating to income taxes. House Bill 404 by Representative Carpenter of the 4th, Williamson of the 112th, Cooper of the 45th, Crawford of the 84th, Oliver of the 82nd, and others, a bill relating to landlord and tenant. House Bill 405 by Representative Crawford of the 84th, Mitchell of the 88th, Owl of the 50th, Scott of the 76th, Douglas of the 78th, and others, a bill relating to medical assistance. House Bill 406 by Representative Jaspers of the 11th, Powell of the 33rd, Corbett of the 174th, Thomas of the 21st, Parsons of the 44th, and others, a bill relating to jurisdiction and powers and duties of the Georgia Public Service Commission generally in selling and other trade practices. House Bill 407 by Representative Smith of the 18th, Wiedauer of the 121st, Franklin of the 160th, and Nulowitz of the 42nd, Hilton of the 48th, a bill relating to alcoholic beverages. House Bill 408 by Representative Williams of the 112th and Blackman of the 146th, a bill relating to exemptions from sales and use tax. House Bill 409 by Representative Daniel of the 117th, Burchett of the 176th, Kelly of the 16th, Reeves of the 99th, Leverett of the 123rd, and others, a bill relating to general provisions applicable to counties, municipal corporations, and other governmental entities. House Bill 410 by Representative Daniel of the 117th, Smith of the 138th, Corbett of the 174th, New of the 64th, Dickey of the 145th, a bill relating to water and wastewater treatment plant operators and laboratory analysis. House Bill 411 by Representative Bazemore of the 69th, Beverly of the 143rd, Park of the 107th, McLean of the 109th, Carter of the 93rd, a bill relating to general provisions of labor and industrial relations. House Bill 412 by Representative Williamson of the 112th and Blackman of the 146th, a bill relating to income taxes. House Bill 413 by Representative Williams of the 148th, Meeks of the 178th, Rhodes of the 124th, Dickey of the 145th, Blackman of the 146th, and others, a bill relating to the Georgia Agribusiness and Rural Jobs Act. House Bill 414 by Representative Blackman of the 146th, Hatchett of the 155th, Williams of the 168th, Oliver of the 82nd, Mogul of the 105th, a bill relating to governing and regulation of mental health. House Bill 415 by Representative Silcox of the 53rd, Martin of the 49th, a bill relating to joint county and municipal sales and use tax. House Bill 436 by Representative Corbett of the 17th, Smith of the 70th, Smith of the 138th, Burchett of the 176th, Taylor of the 173rd, and others, a bill relating to surface mining. House Resolution 184 by Representative Schofield of the 63rd, Howard of the 129th, Beverly of the 143rd, Frazier of the 126th, Corbett of the 174th, and others. A resolution urging all owners and operators of Georgia's self-service gasoline stations to implement policies and practices to better assist disabled or mobility-impaired individuals who cannot dispense their own gasoline. House Resolution 185 by Representative Bennett of the 94th, Jenkins of the 136th, MC of the 13th, Lewis Ward of the 115th, Newton of the 127th, and others. A resolution creating the House Healthy Food Retail Study Committee. Senate Bill 27 by Senator Brass of the 28th, Robertson of the 29th, Beach of the 21st, Brahman of the 5th, Moore of the 53rd, and others. A bill relating to the enumeration of unfair methods, competition, and unfair or deceptive acts and practices and penalties. Senate Bill 42 by Senator Hodges of the 3rd, Albers of the 56th, Hatchett of the 50th, Williams of the 25th, Hickman of the 4th, and others. A bill relating to posting model notice with human trafficking hotline information in businesses and on the Internet. Senate Bill 65 by Senator Watson of the 1st, Walker of the 3rd of the 20th, Hodges of the 3rd, Kennedy of the 18th, Gooch of the 51st, and others. A bill relating to general provisions. Senate Bill 69 by Senator Watson of the 1st, Anna Varty of the 31st, Kennedy of the 18th, Gooch of the 51st, Brass of the 28th, and others. A bill relating to state flag, seal, and other symbols. Senate Bill 104 by Senator Rhett of the 33rd, a bill to amend an act changing the compensation of the clerk of the Superior Court, the sheriff, and the judge of the probate court of Cobb County from the fee system to the salary system. Through second readers.
Members, I'd like to have your attention just for a moment. A former member, Representative Derek Jackson. Derek, good to see you. Welcome back to the House. Representative Derek Jackson. Welcome. Ready? Reports of standing committees. The clerk will read.
Representative Jay Collins, the 71st District Chairman on Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security has had under consideration following bills of the House. This instructed me to report same back to the House the following recommendations. House Bill 142 do pass. House Bill 147 do pass. House Bill 136 do pass. House Bill 268 do pass by committee. Substitute respectfully submitted, Representative Jay Collins of the 71st District, Chairman. Representative Chuck Martin of the 49th District, Chairman on Committee on Higher Education, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, Committee on Higher Education is under consideration following bill of the House. Instructed me to report the same back to the House the following recommendations. House Bill 319 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Chuck E. Martin of the 49th District, Chairman. Representative Josh Bonner of the 73rd District, Chairman on Committee on Defense and Veteran Affairs, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, Committee on Defense and Veteran Affairs is that under consideration following bills of the House. This instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 299 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Josh Bonner of the 73rd District, Chairman. Representative Chris Irwin, 32nd District Chairman on Committee on Education, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, Committee on Education set under consideration following bills of the House. Instructed me to report same back to the House with following recommendations. House Bill 32 do pass by committee. Substitute respectfully submitted. Representative Chris Irwin of the 32nd District, Chairman. Representative John LaHood of the 175th District, Chairman of the Committee on Governmental Affairs, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, Committee on Governmental Affairs. So, in consideration, the following bills of the House. Is instructed me to report same back to the House and following recommendations. House Bill 17, due pass by committee substitute. House Bill 206, due pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative John LaHood of the 175th District, Chairman. Representative Beth Campbell, 135th District, Chairman of the Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Local, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Local is set on consideration following bills of the House. It's instructed me to report same back to the House the following recommendations. House Bill 156, due pass. House Bill 265, due pass. House Bill 272, due pass. House Bill 288, due pass. House Bill 350, due pass. House Bill 351, due pass. House Bill 270, due pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Beth Camp of the 135th District, Chairman. Representative Lynn Smith, the 70th District Chairman on Committee on Natural Resources and Environment, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Natural Resources and Environment had under consideration the following bills of the House. It's instructed me to report same back to the House. The following recommendation, House Bill 165, due pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Lynn Smith of the 70th District, Chairman. Representative Carson, the 46th District Chairman of the Committee on Retirement, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Retirement has added under consideration the following bills of the House. Instructed me to report same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 285, due pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Carson, the 46th District, Chairman. Representative Gerald Green of the 154th District, Chairman of the Committee on State Property, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on State Property said under consideration the following bills and resolutions of the House. Instructed me to report same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Resolution 157, due pass by substitute. House Resolution 158, due pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Gerald Green of the 154th District, Chairman. Representative Shaw Blackman of the 146th District, Chairman of the Committee on Ways and Means, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, Committee on Ways and Means is under consideration the following bills and resolutions of the House. It's instructed me to report same back to the House the following recommendations. House Bill 36, due pass. House Bill 95, due pass. House Bill 138, due pass. House Bill 162, due pass. House Resolution 66, due pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Shaw Blackman of the 146th District, Chairman. That completes the reports of standing committees.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. House will come to order. House will come to order. Members, please take your seats. We have one bill on the local calendar that relates to homestead exemption and requires a recorded two-thirds roll call vote for passage. Third reading and passage of uncontested local bills. If there is no objection, we will vote on the local calendar as a whole with a recorded vote. Hearing none, it is so ordered. The clerk will read the local calendar.
House Bill 156 by Representative Hawkins, the 27th, Hall County. House Bill 265 by Representative Carter, the 93rd, Rockdale County. House Bill 272 by Huddleston in the 72nd, City of Carrollton. House Bill 288 by Representative Parrish, the 158th, Emmanuel County. House Bill 350 by Representative Crowe, the 118th, Butts County. House Bill 351 by Representative Crowe, the 118th, Butts County. House Bill 270 by Representative Schofield, the 63rd, City of College Park.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered on the local calendar? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bills? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall these bills now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bills on the local calendar will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the passage of the bills on the local calendar, the ayes are 162, the nays are 2. These bills, having received the requisite constitutional majority, are therefore passed. We're going to move on to morning orders now. Members, we will recognize Representative Sheila Jones of the 60th. The gentle lady will introduce the Doctor of the Day. Representative Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I am so pleased to stand here today on my 67th birthday and thank you, and introduce our chaplain, our doctor for the day. Our doctor for the day is Dr. B. David Blake. He is a native of Bronx, New York, and he graduated from Northside Performing Arts High School in Atlanta, Georgia, after relocating with his family. Dr. Blake received his BS from Howard University in Washington, D.C., and earned his MD degree from Morehouse School of Medicine in Atlanta, Georgia. He completed his internship and residency training in family medicine from Morehouse School of Medicine, Department of Family Medicine, serving as chief resident during his final year. He has been recognized as the Morehouse School of Medicine National Alum of the Year and has served as president of the Morehouse School of Medicine National Alumni Association. He is the medical director for Family First Healthcare PC in Lithia Springs, Georgia, where he provides clinical preceptorship training to medical students, nurse practitioner students, and physician assistant students. Through the Atlanta Medical Association, Dr. Blake mentors college pre-med students. Most proudly, Dr. Blake is the father of 4 beautiful daughters, Alexandria, Adriana, Ariel, and Brianna. I present to you our Doctor of the Day, Dr. Blake.
Hello, Mr. Speaker and members of the House. I thank you for allowing me to be today. Thank you, Representative Jones, and happy birthday once again. It has been my honor to be here with you today, serving as your Doctor of the Day. It has been a learning experience. Again, thank you for the invitation. I look forward to working with you during my term as President of the Georgia State Medical Association and continuing to bring the best health care to your constituents and my patients throughout the state of Georgia. Thank you again.
Thank you, Dr. Blake. We appreciate your service, and we appreciate you being here today, taking care of us. Thanks for taking your time to be with us and providing this critical service to the members of this body and the Senate. "27 years old. Can you believe it? Happy birthday." Wow. For the second or third time, second time maybe. We're going to move on to morning orders. I'm going to recognize 2 gentlemen for a morning order this morning that would be very special. And I want all the members to pay attention. Representative Al Williams and Representative Roger Bruce, if you'll come down. Members, please pay attention.
Roger, come here. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, I don't come to the well a lot, but today I'm coming to ask you to celebrate a life with me of a gentleman that has touched this whole country. He's a native of Georgia, but he has impacted this entire country. His name is Thomas Dortch. Those of us that know him or knew him called him Tommy. I met Tommy over 50 years ago when I was a freshman at Morehouse, and he was a few years ahead of me at Fort Valley. And he had come and asked me to help organize students across the entire state to get them to get involved in the electoral process, to go out and register to vote. And we registered thousands of students to vote in that governor's election that year. And you know, it's difficult for me because he and I were generally friends. That's his picture up there. For those of you that knew Tommy, you know that we could stand here all day long and talk about all the things that he has done and contributed. Those of you that don't know him or didn't know him, I really suggest that you go online and look up Tommy Dortch, and you will find so much information about an individual, as I said, that impacted this entire country. His impact on small businesses and on all the other things that he has done, you know, is just remarkable. And it's tough for me, so I'm gonna pass this on to Al and let Al say some things about him.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Excuse me, just a little, let me get middle up here. Of course, everyone came through Atlanta and many parts of this country knew Tommy Dortch. My friendship, too, goes back 50 years. When Tommy was first starting out, and even when he went on the staff of Senator Sam Nunn, he came to Southeast Georgia many times. He stayed with Olivia and I. Down in Midway, he'd drive down. What a contributor. 100 Black Men of America, a great organization that has had an unbelievable impact, where he served as chairman. The HBCU Hall of Fame that he organized and put together. His friendship with former Dean Calvin Smyrie, it dates back to Fort Valley State. And Calvin and I have been in touch most of the week, following up on how he was doing. And then eventually we had to make the call where we reminisced on what a friend and good person he was. Now, every morning when I sit down, I pick up my scripture, and I usually read 3 verses, and I'll only do one. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? It's brought me through some tough times. But to Carol and the rest of the Dortch family, members of the Georgia legislature, we send out our deepest condolences for a life well lived. Well done, thou great, good, and faithful servant. Those words fit Tommy Dortch exactly. Mr. Speaker, thank you, and we yield the well.
Thank you, representatives, for that remembrance of a very fine man. Thank you.
That's, the Speaker makes that call.
Now,
I can't make.
members, we're going to move on with morning orders. We're going to ask you to see if you can get up and get down in less than a minute, if possible. Representative Kendrick is recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. Today is my 4th annual Tech for All Policy Conference, and I wanted to acknowledge the 4 nonprofits that helped me draft legislation for this conference. Partnership for Southern Equity, Urban League of Greater Atlanta, Inspire EDU, and Generation USA. And I hope that you will help me honor our honorees for this conference as they work to propel Georgia forward in the area of diversity in tech workforce. They're in City Hall right now. They were supposed to be here, but we had a time change. But I wanted to name them: Christina Newton, Roshana Novelis, Valerie Mackey, Charles Robinson, Jane Bambry, S. Gordon Moore Jr., Maxine Kane, Hamid Harjeeb, and Dr. Alex Carmadale, and my co-chair for this year, Miss Erica Moore. So thank you for those of you that supported me yesterday and today for this conference. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Gaines is recognized for a morning order in the afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Joined by the Athens delegation here up front. Today is University of Georgia's Family and Consumer Sciences Day at the Capitol. The Family and Consumer Sciences College offers majors such as consumer sciences, dietetics, financial planning, fashion merchandising, and human development. Helps students study and apply these principles of design, business, science, and technology to develop healthier people and thriving communities throughout the state. We're thrilled to have Dean Anissa Zonkovic up in the audience, as well as Dr. Allison Penn and several other administrators and students from the UGA Family and Consumer Sciences College. If y'all could please stand, be recognized. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We yield the well.
Thank you, Chairman and friends, Representative and friends. Chairman Green, Dean of the House, recognized for a morning order. And his friends from Albany.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This was supposed to be a group of individuals from Dougherty County and Albany Day. We were glad to have them and host them today. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for coming by and speaking to them this morning. But I believe that most of them have left now, headed back to South Georgia, back to God's country. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Y'all had a good group there. Really good group. Enjoyed being with them this morning. Representative Olalaye is recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And good afternoon, colleagues. I'm Representative Phil Olalaye from the 59th District in Fulton County. And today I rise and have the great honor to recognize a great Georgian and community advocate, Miss Maddie Jackson. Born in Jackson, Georgia, Miss Maddie wrote her first petition at the age of 8, met with President Johnson's administration to help shape legislation protecting the poor, and she even carried the Olympic torch during the 1996 Olympic Games. It was no surprise that after decades and decades of community work, Miss Maddie became affectionately known as the mayor of Summerhill. Yet at the golden age of 93, Miss Maddie is best known for her stand against the city of Atlanta in defense of her home in Peoplestown and on behalf of other communities' livelihoods across Southeast Atlanta. To Miss Maddie, having a safe, affordable, and stable home to live in was a non-negotiable. At a time when decent housing for Georgians is being threatened by sky-high rent prices, a lack of affordable options, and Wall Street, now landlords, taking advantage of and profiting off of hardworking families. I challenge this chamber to draw from Miss Maddie's courage and remember that there is nothing, and I mean nothing, more important than a safe, affordable, and stable home. Without it, everything else falls apart. So I want to thank my friends and Miss Maddie's family and friends up in the gallery for joining us this afternoon at the People's House. May you please stand and be recognized. Y'all stand up now. And to Miss Maddie's daughter, Miss Cheryl Calhoun, happy early birthday. She shares this birthday with her late mother this upcoming Monday. Miss Maddie would have been 102 years of age. And if I may, Mr. Speaker, one last birthday to one of the greatest men I know, my dad. Happy birthday. I love you, Pops. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
You got to remember Dad. There's no doubt about that. Point of personal privilege, I want to recognize and introduce to some of you a gentleman I serve with here in this house, Representative Bob Holmes. Bob, it's good to have you back. You look great. Good to see you. Representative Bob Holmes. Cheerleader Dempsey is recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today is CSB, Community Service Board's Day at our state capitol. Throughout Georgia, 2 million Georgians have suffered in this past year with mental illness or addictive diseases. More than 320,000 experienced a serious mental illness, and more than 145,000 adults in Georgia are living with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Today, each of these community service boards have a tremendous impact in each of our communities with the desire to improve the quality of life of Georgia's most vulnerable populations. Thank you to each of you for continuing to meet the diversified needs of those you serve with high quality and cost-effective care. Georgia's children, youth, and adults living with serious mental illness, developmental disabilities, and addictive diseases. Please rise and let us say thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
CSBs are great. Thank y'all for being here. Enjoyed seeing some of your members earlier today. Thank y'all for everything you do. Representative Reese is recognized. There he is. Recognized for a morning order. Representative Reese.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It was a frigidly cold winter day, December the 4th, 1906, on the campus of Cornell University in Ithaca, New York. 7 African-American men charted a course that would lead to the great fraternity of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Today in this great house, we celebrate Alpha Day with House Resolution 153 as well as 227. I would like to recognize some individuals we have with us today in leadership. Our district director, Mr. Sherman Lofton. Will you please stand, sir? We also have the 35th General President with us, Mr. Everett Ward. Would you please stand? And the reigning brothers that are in the chamber of Alpha Phi Alpha, thank you for hosting us today at your state capitol.
Thanks, Representative Reese, and welcome, gentlemen. Glad to have y'all with us. Representative Park Cannon is recognized for a morning order. Representative Cannon.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Speaker.
Representative Hutchinson will join her.
Thank you, and the birthday girl. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today we're excited to recognize a nonprofit here in the Atlanta area, Excel Youth Academy. We thank you, your executive director, waving in the gallery, and your beautiful family for being here. You provide golf exposure to underprivileged youth. You help them break the cycle of poverty, and you are sponsored by one of our favorite groups down here at the Capitol, Georgia's own credit union. We want to thank you for all that you do today.
Thank you, Representative Cannon, and welcome. Representative McLean, I got you before you sat down, didn't I?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today in the gallery we have the Gwinnett Chat Outreach, and we have also the director, Ryan Cox, at the stand, and he's got 4 of his board members. If I can get y'all to stand up, I want you all to realize the Gwinnett Chat Outreach, what they do, give those young fellows a hand. What they do, they go behind the scene to businesses. And what they try to do is make sure that these young men get that opportunity to see businesses behind the scene to do some work. So today, they're at the People's House. They toured the People's House, and they're looking forward to coming back to this house. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative McLean, and welcome to the People's House. Glad to have y'all. Members, we'll move on to the rules calendar. The rules calendar is ready to go. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to HB 215?
House Bill 215 by Representative Powell, the 33rd, and others to be titled an act to amend Chapter 26 and Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to nurses so as to provide for licensure of advanced practice registered nurses. This bill has been referred to the Committee on Health. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Representative Chairman Powell is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and ladies and gentlemen of the House. I bring to you today House Bill 215. We've been working on this a couple of years, and as most of y'all know, anything related to health care is like pulling teeth to get it out of a committee and move it forward. This bill today is going to let you go home and say thank you to a lot of those unsung heroes that save your lives. That's the nurses. Currently, the the Board of Nursing issues an authorization to be a nurse. There's no differentiation between what classification, but we have APRNs, Advanced Practical Registered Nurses. These are the nurses that have the extra educational requirements and protocol and clinicals and the such. Currently, you have physician assistants, which most people are familiar with. They're also licensed by the Composite Board, but this bill would do two simple things. One, it recognizes those extraordinary differences between a normal nurse and an advanced practical registered nurse by giving them licensure, or the title that they would be then, instead of being just licensed as a nurse, they would be licensed by the nursing board. Secondly, ladies and gentlemen, this bill does a very simple thing to allow PAs and APRNs to issue those medical placards, handicap placards. It doesn't sound like much, but it takes a little bit of a burden off of the docs, that these people work under those docs protocol. Mr. Speaker, I'll be more than glad to answer any questions, and if there are none, I'll yield the will.
You do have a couple of questions, if you will yield.
Be glad to.
The lady from the 58th, Representative Cannon, to your left, has a question.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Do you yield?
Yes, ma'am.
Just a question about the different types of midwives that are included in this bill. I did see and I do understand the intention of this bill, but did you know that there is also a certified professional midwife, not just a certified nurse midwife? So maybe this bill accidentally doesn't include them, or does it intentionally not include them? And then would they be subject to a misdemeanor?
Quite frankly, for somebody that hadn't had a use for a midwife personally, but I will tell you that there's several specifications in specialty nurses, such as the midwives and some of these, that they're classified under the APRN.
Just yielding for a second question.
Yes, ma'am.
So is there possibly room to look at this bill about how it affects midwives, just to make sure that those certified professional midwives aren't intentionally left out?
My understanding is that they are classified as an APRN and they're not left out. So instead of just being a midwife with a nursing authorization, they'll be an APRN.
Gentlemen, yield to the lady from the 45th, Chair Lady Cooper, for a question.
Certainly.
Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am, to my dear friend.
Okay, isn't it true that the bill that this covers that are considered nurse practitioners are the ones that are already RNs that have taken advanced course in nurse midwifery?
The lady
that is the category that is covered under your bill and for licensure.
Yes, ma'am, you are so right. These are the nurses who have the extra education, the masters and the PhDs and all of this. Thank you for the question.
Will you yield again?
Yes, ma'am.
So someone with other training, other than first becoming an RN, would, and then taking the advanced training to be a nurse midwife, would not qualify for this licensure.
If the lady so states. Thank you.
Gentlemen, yield for another one or two.
Certainly.
Lady from the 36th, Representative Earhart, for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Will you yield?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it not true that this piece of legislation is another positive step that Georgia is taking towards both recruiting, retaining, and enabling nurses in Georgia to do the best they can to serve Georgians? And is it also not true that as a mother of an ER trauma nurse, I am especially grateful for this piece of legislation?
If the lady so states, and I appreciate the question.
Gentlemen, you have one more. You have one more question. We'll recognize the gentleman from the 127th, Representative Newton, to your right.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Isn't it true that I have the privilege of working with nurse practitioners nearly every day in the emergency department and in office practices, and have seen firsthand the incredible value that both RNs and APRNs bring to medical care?
Yes, sir, as you so state.
Well, I appreciate working with you on this, and I want to know you have my full support, and I thank you for bringing the bill.
And I thank you, and I also thank you as being part of MAG and the doctors for working with me to move this forward. And as we had said before, I know what a lot of concerns in the past have been about pathways to hanging independent shingles, but this is not a move to do that. Water runs downhill, and somebody's got to be in charge, and that means the doctors that these PAs and APRNs work under their protocol. And I thank you, Doc. Mr. Speaker, I don't think there should be any other questions, but I would certainly implore the members of the House to pass this bill forward. And when you see your nurses at home, give them a hug and thank them.
Thank you, Chairman Powell. The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas were 165, the nays 0. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to HB 81?
House Bill 81 by Representative Corbett of the 174th and others to be titled an act to amend Code Section 22-262 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to low wealth capital outlay grants to local school systems and criteria for eligibility, so as to revise the eligibility criteria for certain capital outlay grants. This bill having referred to the Committee on Education, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chairman Corbett is recognized to present the bill. Ladies and gentlemen, give him your attention, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, I'll bring before you House Bill 81, LC 491061. House Bill 81 revises the criteria for certain capital outlay projects as related to low wealth school systems. Presently, the criteria, you have to be in the bottom 25% for SPLOST collections based on FTE, and also the bottom 25% based on property value based on FTE, or you're consolidating two schools where you don't generate enough SPLOST to over a 5-year period for your local match. So that is the three ways you can qualify for this. We're changing that criteria a little bit. On the first two, we adding to the bill where if you qualify for the SPLOST or the low property value, we're adding if you've owned it for a 3-year period. If you own it, you're on that list for 3 years. We have every year your SPLOST collections goes up and down. So this adds some stability to it. So once you qualify, you're qualified for 3 years, even if the next year your SPLOST collection doesn't meet that criteria. The other change, we added it on the consolidation piece. The schools have to be over 35 years old. This helps us to address the most needed areas first, because you have some school systems that were being replaced that are younger than that, still earn maintenance and operation funding, which helps with air conditioning and roofing and that kind of thing. So they earn money to help maintain these younger schools. So now we're targeting the most needed areas by putting that 35-year requirement in there. And then the meat of the bill, the main change is where once the system's needs have been met, they will roll off of that list for 10 years and allow somebody else to roll onto that list, therefore helping a rural school that would no longer be able, they wouldn't be able to afford a capital outlay project to build a new school without this grant. So that's what the bill does, and I would stand for any questions, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman does have a question.
I'll yield.
The gentleman from the 32nd, Chairman Irwin, is recognized for a question to your right.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
To my friend, I do, to Chairman.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for bringing this bill. And what I read in this bill, this is helping the poorest systems and ultimately helping the poorest children in this state of Georgia. Is that correct?
The gentleman knows what he speaks.
Thank you very much for bringing this bill, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And Mr. Speaker, if there are no more questions, I'll yield the well and ask.
Gentlemen, will yield for one more question.
I will yield for one more question, Mr. Speaker.
The Minority Leader, Representative Chairman Beverly, right in front of you, Leader Beverly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a question around the school systems. There could be, just an observation, there could be a poor school in a wealthy school system that won't get this attention because it's in a wealthy school system. So it's not less than 25%. My question is there any consideration to have money go to poor schools that may be in wealthy systems?
Like I said, this is already in code now. We're just changing it to allow some others to roll on there. And by doing this, we will possibly help some of the systems you're talking about actually hopefully qualify for this.
Okay.
You know, will we be able to help every school? You know, probably not. But it's sort of like the young boy that was walking down the beach after a big storm, where tens of thousands of starfish was washed up on the beach, and he's going along picking them up one at a time, putting them back in the water. And a man comes along and says, "Son, you're never going to be able to put enough back in the water to make a difference." He picks one up, puts it back in. So, well, we made a difference for that one. So, and that's what we're doing here. Y'all help me make a difference and vote yes on this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It was in doubt until then. That story, it's a good bill. Good bill. Thank you for the questions. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas were 168, the nays 0. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to HB 143?
House Bill 143 by Representative Mathis, the 149th and others to be titled, an act to amend Article 7, Chapter 4, Title 49 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to medical assistance generally, so as to require the Department of Community Health to include continuous glucose monitors as a pharmacy benefit for Medicaid recipients. This bill having referred to the Committee on Public Health, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Representative Mathis is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Folks of the House, appreciate your time. I'll be brief. This bill is a bill about continuous, it's HB 143, LC 339290, and the continuous glucose monitor is what diabetics use to monitor their blood sugars, whether it be high or whether it be low. And what we're wanting to do here is change it from a medical benefit to a pharmacy benefit. Therefore, a patient can go to a treating practitioner, a doctor, a local doctor, and get these monitors. These monitors are placed either on your abdomen or your arm, according to the manufacturer, and it can be readily fixed to your cell phone, and it'll give you whether you have a low blood sugar or a high blood sugar. And we're trying to treat patients with both. We think that this is a instance that we can use to save lives. Number one, that's the reason I'm for it. Number two, it'll give people a better quality of life. Number three, it'll give you a peace of mind for yourself to know where your blood sugars are at all times, and for caregivers. That is huge too. So I believe that this is going to reduce the number of hospital stays that diabetics have. I believe it's going to cut down on emergencies. It's going to cut down ambulance trips. Hopefully it will save folks. In my years as being an EMT, I had opportunities to where we would get calls out, there'd be an auto accident, somebody's run off the road, and a lot of times we'd get there and it'd be somebody that had a low blood sugar. So if it had one of these monitors, it will keep them aware of what their sugars are, whether they're low or being high. Now I want to emphasize that a low blood sugar is more deadly than a high blood sugar. They're all bad. And this bill covers both, hypoglycemia and hyperglycemia. So that's the bill. Mr. Speaker, if there's any questions, I'll be glad to ask.
If the gentleman will yield, he has a question
Yes,
from
sir, I'll yield.
Representative Barnes right up in front of you to your left.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it not true that evaluating these patients every 6 months will allow for intervention if they're using the machine wrong or if it's not actually benefiting them?
Yes, ma'am, it will. What we want to do is make sure they're properly installed, because you do have to change these every 10 to 12 days.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the question.
You have no further questions.
I
Did a good
yield
job.
well.
The gentleman has yielded well. We have a member who signed up to speak on the bill. Now we recognize Representative Stoner to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The reason for my coming to the well, and I'm a co-sponsor with Representative Mathis on this, is because actually I use a CGM. I'm a type 2 diabetic. So like right now, I'm going to check my glucose level, see what it is. I'm at 180. I had lunch a little while ago and everything. And not just myself, but my wife, who's here with me today, she wears a CGM. Now, she's type 1. So we cover all fronts, type 2, type 1, and everything. But the reason is, and the comments that Representative Mathis said today are critical. And we're fortunate that we're able to afford and access this technology. It's going to make a huge difference in folks' lives, and I'm glad to see that we're going to finally get it out there where folks can have access to it, have regular visits as it goes with this, because your ability to manage this, be you type 1 or type 2, is going to be a huge change in ability people's lives and their outcomes. And finally put, it's going to save the state money, to be very frank, and everything. So glad to see this bill here, happy to support it. And as someone who understands this issue, my wife and I deal with lots of diabetes issues, obviously, have my full support. I would definitely ask everyone to support this bill today. I'll yield the well, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Stoner. What a great testimony to some good legislation here. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of, the chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas were 167, the nays 1. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, if you'll read the caption to House Bill 193.
House Bill 193 by Representative Anderson of the 10th and others to be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 91 and Title 36 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to public works, contracting, and bidding requirements so as to increase the dollar values of certain public work construction contracts exempt from bidding requirements. This bill having referred to the Committee on Governmental Affairs, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Representative Anderson is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And as the last bill on the rules calendar, I'll try to exercise some advice that I was given in my first session, and that was to be brief. House Bill 193 addresses our Public Works Construction Purchasing Code. This law was put into place in the year 2000. That's 23 years ago. At that time, there was a threshold put into the bill for $100,000 that when local governments had projects that were over $100,000, it was a statutory requirement that those projects go out for competitive bid. All we are doing is increasing that, given the increase in cost of materials, labor, and that sort of thing, to $250,000. That's a level that was brought to us by the Association of General Contractors, who were the primary architects of the original law, agreed to by ACCG, GMA, and most of the contractors that I deal with myself. And Mr. Speaker, that's the bill in a nutshell, and I'll entertain any questions.
Gentleman has no questions.
Thank you, sir, and I yield the wheel and ask for your favorable consideration.
Good job. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. For what purpose does Representative Clark rise?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, is it not true that while I understand why this might be good from the perspective of local government, from the perspective of a business owner, could this not decrease the opportunity for new businesses to get these types of contracts?
I think if you go speak to the author, I'm not sure I quite understand your point. But we know that the prices, the cost of construction have gone up, so I think the timing is certainly appropriate to raise this threshold. Is there any, on the passage of the bill? Let's get back to this. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas were 164, the nays 4. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. We'll move on. That completes our rules calendar. We'll move on to afternoon orders. Representatives Holland and Roberts, you're recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm delighted to stand here with my Sandy Springs colleagues as we welcome Leadership Sandy Springs to the Capitol today. Leadership Sandy Springs stands to inspire and empower its community leaders to be catalysts for collaborative and transformational progress. Connecting them with civic engagement and all of us is just another way they are able to affect positive change in our communities. Because of the change in schedule today, they've already moved on to their next stop, so we couldn't greet them in the gallery, but we're delighted that they were able to join us here today. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, members. Representative Huddlestone is recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As some of you may have seen today, had some delivery of some green plants to your office. This was from a young group of folks that was representing the Georgia Green Industry Association. This is a statewide trade association that includes professionals from landscape trade, irrigation contractors, wholesale nursery growers, greenhouse operators, and retail garden centers. If you happen to see them in the hallways this afternoon, tell them you appreciate the plants, give them a big thank you, and thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We will, Representative Huddleston. We appreciate you making us aware and reminding us of that. So it's good plants. We'll take care of them. Representative McLean, Representative Al, Representative Newton, recognized for an afternoon order. McLean, Representative McLean. Did I not say you, sir? Representative McLean, you're the lead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, thank you. Hey, thank you, thank you, Ms. Leader. It's, wow, can I believe that, Mr. Speaker? Thank you. Must be an afternoon. Thank you. I'm glad to have y'all with me. Yeah, on your desk, you all have calendars, and those calendars are transplant calendars. And what I have with me are two doctors, and I definitely want to make sure that you realize that organ donation is something that saves lives. And I thought Representative Pedro Marin would be here with us as well, because when Pedro's son passed several years back, his son helped save 33 lives with tissue donation. So Representative Marin, he's back there, but I just want you all to know, and I do want, since this is an afternoon order, for these two doctors, hopefully they can shed some light, but please go through the calendars and see the faces of transplants.
As an emergency physician, we see the devastation that comes. Trauma is the leading killer under age 45. When something good can come from a tragedy, certainly we want to avoid them, number one, but when something good can come, and when people are compassionate enough to make the effort to put organ donor yes on your driver's license, I can tell you it's going to make a difference for people, and it brings just a wonderful thing out of a tragedy, and can help turn it around for so many. So thank you, Representative McLean.
I would love for Representative Moran to say a word. I don't see no light.
No light yet. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, members. Organ donors is important, and as a life experience, when my son passed in 2017, I knew that 33 people got something donated from my son's body. So again, it's important you all be do it in the license. But again, that fills me up that some people, 33 people out there in Georgia has something from my son. So thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, members. Representative Marion, thank you for that. Representatives Lim, Roman, and the Gwinnett delegation. I was seeing who was coming with you. So members, please pay attention. This is very serious. Very serious. Members, please pay attention. Give your full attention to Representative Lim.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On Tuesday night in Norcross, Jaden Travis was murdered in front of his home as his father tried to intervene and to save him. He was 13 years old. Jaden liked basketball, music, hunting, skating, and fishing, activities many of us like. His father and his family are now mourning the loss of their child and figuring out how to move forward with their unimaginable pain. This was an incident of gun violence appearing to be committed by young teenagers against another young teenager, and it was on the heels of us just a few days ago here recognizing another teenage death in the same area, which was an incident of drug overdose. So this community is mourning. Please take a moment of silence with us in remembrance of Jaden and for the strength for his father and his family. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative. Appreciate you bringing that to our attention. That completes our afternoon orders. Now we have several motions we need to tend to and listen to here to take care of some business. So at this time, let's see, have a couple of lights. For what purpose does Representative Franklin rise? Representative Franklin from the 160th.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to make a motion.
State your motion.
I move that the rules of this House be suspended so that a bill can be read and assigned to the committee.
Mr. Clerk will read the caption, please.
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Franklin in the 160th and others to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 9 and Title 34 of the Official Code of Georgia and Taylor relating to workers' compensation.
On the gentleman's motion that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended so a bill can be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? Industry and Labor. For what purpose does Chairman Saines rise?
Mr. Speaker, I rise to make a motion.
State your motion, sir.
I move that the rules be temporarily suspended so that a bill may be read for the first time and assigned to committee.
Mr. Clerk, will you please read the caption? Let's do both of them then, if he has to.
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Saints in the 180th to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 13 and Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia and Taylor relating to general provisions of administrative procedure so as to remove the exemption of administrative review from the Board of Corrections. Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Saines in the 180th to be titled an act to amend Chapter 7, Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia and Taylor relating to income taxes so as to provide for clarification with respect to income tax credit for establishing or relocating quality jobs.
On the gentleman's motion that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended so that two bills can be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? Ways and Means. For what purpose does Chairman Blackman rise?
Make a motion.
State your motion, sir.
I move that the rules be temporarily suspended so the bill may be read for the first time and assigned to committee.
Clerk will read the caption, please, Mr. Clerk.
House Bill 464 by Representative Blackman in the 146 to be titled an act to amend Chapter 7 to Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia and Taylor relating to income taxes so as to revise the rate of taxation on income.
On the gentleman's motion that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended so a bill can be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? Ways and Means. For what purpose does Chairman Carson rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
I move that the rules of the House be temporarily suspended such that a bill may be read for the first time and assigned to committee.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Carson of the 46 and others to be titled an act to amend Article 7, Chapter 20 and Title 47 of the Official Code of Georgia and Taylor relating to the Public Retirement Systems Investment Authority Law.
On the gentleman's motion that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended so a bill can be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? Retirement. For what purpose does Chairman Powell rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion, sir.
Sir, I would like House Bill 353 to be transferred from House, what committee is it in?
Higher Ed.
Higher Ed to the House Regulated Industries Committee. And both chairmen have agreed.
Glad to be of service. Clerk will read the caption, please, Mr. Clerk.
House Bill 353 by Reverend Apollo, 33rd to be entitled, an act to amend Chapter 27, Title 50, the official code of Georgia, annotated to the Georgia Lottery for Education Act.
On the gentleman's motion that HB 353 be withdrawn from the Higher Ed Committee and recommitted to the Regulated Industries Committee, is there objection? Hearing none, it is so ordered. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions?
Honoring the life and memory of Major Terry Arnold. Honoring the life and memory of Gloria Ann Robinson. Recognizing, commending Janice Baker, recipient of the new Administrator of the Year Award. Recognizing and commending Vicki Bellevue Studley, recipient of the Elderly and Disabled Waiver Case Management Administrative Support Leadership Award. Recognizing and commending Carolyn Jo Lucky, recipient of the Emergency Preparedness Champion of Long-Term Care Award. Recognizing and commending Tanya Allman, recipient of the Elderly and Disabled Waiver Case Management Social Worker Case Management Leadership Award. Recognizing and commending Ivy Bembry, recipient of the Assisted Living Administrator of the Year Award. Recognizing and commending Joanne Wren, recipient of the Administrator of the Year Award. Recognizing and commending Cindy Bennett, recipient of the Elderly and Disabled Waiver Case Management Nurse Care Management Leadership Award. Recognizing and commending Ketta Evans, recipient of the Leadership Excellence Award. Recognizing and commending Glenn Curtis, recipient of the Engineering and Environmental Services Champion of Long-Term Care Award. Commending the Red Cross and recognizing March 2023 as Red Cross Month in Georgia. Recognizing and commending Clinicia M. Familia Seababy. Recognizing and commending Thomas Jefferson Academy Jaguars. Recognizing and commending the Thomas Jefferson Academy Athletics Department. Recognizing and commending the Georgia Green Industry Association. Commending Jermaine Johnson. Recognizing and commending Terrence Edwards on being inducted into the Georgia High School Hall of Fame. Recognizing and commending Takio Spikes on being inducted in the Georgia High School Hall of Fame. Recognizing February 23rd, 2023 as Georgia Commission on Women's Champion for a Change Day at the State Capitol. Recognizing February 7th, 2023 as Girl Scout Day at the State Capitol and commending the Girl Scouts. Recognizing and commending Abrar Hashmi, and for other purposes. That completes the reading of the privileged resolutions.
Is there any objection to adopting the privileged resolutions? Chair hears none. The resolutions are adopted. We're ready for announcements. Chairman Wickizer, recognized for an announcement.
Mr. Speaker, the Industry and Labor will meet upon adjournment in room 506. We'll be really quick if you'll get there quick. Thank you.
Representative Panich is recognized for an announcement. Take your time. You're okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today's Fulton County Day. Woo! Thank you. Come join us right after adjournment to celebrate Zernona Clayton, Reverend Durley, Senator Donzella James, Robin Crittenden, who's the Commissioner for the Department of Revenue, Pat Wilson, who is the Commissioner for Economic Development, who will all receive Outstanding Georgia Citizens Awards from the Secretary of State. We will be in 341 in this building. My directions are go outside and make a right. And then the Fulton delegation, House and Senate, will meet in 605 CLOB at 4 o'clock. See you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. You give great directions. Representative Jasmine Clark is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First announcement is for Policy Committee. We're meeting at 3 p.m. in room 605. Second announcement, members of GLBC that have to travel here, pack your black outfit. We are still coordinating the time, but we will take our picture next week. Pack your black outfit, GLBC. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, ma'am. Chair Lady Darlene Taylor is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is for Tuesday morning. The Insurance Life and Health Subcommittee will meet Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. in CLLB 406. Thank you.
That completes our announcements. Ladies and gentlemen, let me have your attention for another minute. We have a couple of other things we need to account for this afternoon. And let me explain something. We had a member who accidentally dropped a bill that was stuck inside another bill a few minutes ago. And when that happens, the rule is that we waive the bill. Do I have unanimous consent to withdraw the SANES bill that was dropped and was assigned to committee a few minutes ago? Hear no objection. Thank you. For what purpose? Yeah, we're going to get there. What purpose does Representative Thomas rise?
To make a motion, Mr. Speaker.
State your motion.
To temporarily suspend the rules so the bill can be read for the first time.
Mr. Clerk, will read the caption, please.
House Bill 461 by Representative Thomas, the 21st to be entitled, Act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 13 to Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to general provisions regarding specific business and occupation taxes.
On the gentleman's motion that the rules of this House be temporarily suspended so a bill can be read for the first time and assigned to committee. Is there objection? Ways and Means. Well, we have a couple of birthdays that we're going to celebrate today. We already talked about and recognize our dear Representative Sheila Jones celebrating her birthday today. I think she's 39 for the second time. Representative Holly Marty Holly has a birthday today. Happy birthday, Representative. On Sunday, I don't know how big this birthday is, but I think it's pretty good size. I won't ask. Chairman Bill Werkheiser has a birthday on Sunday. Chairman Werkheiser. Give me your attention just a minute longer. For what purpose does Representative Neal rise?
I rise to make a motion.
State your motion.
I move that the rules be suspended so a bill can be read for the first time.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
I'll number the House Bill by Representative Neal, the 79th, to be entitled, Act to amend Chapter 7 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to income taxes so as to provide for a tax credit for certain expenses.
On the lady's motion that the rules of the House be temporarily suspended so a bill can be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? Ways and Means. I did not. We do have Pages today. Thank you, Pages, for coming in this afternoon and being with us and taking care of our business. Now, members, if you have a page, the pages will make their way down front and meet your members. We'll take a photo. A good afternoon. Thank you for your attention and thank you for your presence in the chamber. Everyone be safe. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here when the majority leader tells us to. The majority leader is recognized for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that this House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Tuesday, February 21st, 2023.
On the motion of the majority leader of this House, that this House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Tuesday, February the 20th of 2023. All those in favor will say aye. That was weak. All those opposed say no. Yes, no doubt. The ayes have it. We're adjourned. See y'all Tuesday.